The SPCA, first of all, stands for Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. We're a humane organization that takes in domestic animals, so any animals that you would have in a home as a pet. We're a nonprofit agency that's independent of other nonprofits, so we're not associated with the ASPCA or the Humane Society or anything like that. We were founded in June of 1892.
When I initially started working here, I didn't have a full understanding of what it was. Most people don't. They think, oh, we're going to go and, play with the puppies and kitties. And, I understood that, I'd be cleaning up after them and taking care of them, stuff like that. But I didn't understand what was really involved. I didn't understand what people were capable of. Because to me, doing something cruel to an animal just isn't normal. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who do that. It was a real big eye-opener and reality check. This is our dog food kitchen, where we currently have residing a turtle that is here because of an investigation, and it had really bad shell rot, and most of its shell has actually fallen off. If you look, in this bucket is where the particles are, and she is actually getting a lot better. In the 10 years I've been here, we have had snakes, lizards, turtles, frogs, sugar gliders, chinchillas, chickens, goats, potbelly pigs, and I think that's all the main weird stuff we've had.
I've been here for 13 years. I've always loved animals, so it was just kind of natural when I got a job here. I actually was working full-time somewhere else, and I started here part-time, just for extra money for Christmas, but then I couldn't quit once so when full-time came, I took it.
Of course, our big service is adoptions. We have almost 1,200 adoptions a year, and a lot of those animals get returned to their owner. So last year we had 3,920 animals in the shelter. We do euthanasia, which is difficult for some people, but we can't place animals that are so sick they're not going to survive or that are aggressive or mean. And I know we get a lot of criticism for that, but it's a difficult job.
This is our, what's supposed to be a cemetery room. Here is where we keep all our urns and caskets, so if somebody's pet passes away and they need something to bury it in or they need our cremation services, we can provide them with that.
There's a lot of sad things, but I think the most important thing to remember is there's a lot of good things that happen. There's a lot of happy endings to sad stories as they begin, so it's always rewarding to see an emaciated dog come in and end up being regular weight and going to a wonderful loving home.
Fortunately, we've not had to euthanize dogs for space for many years now. And so that's something we're very proud of, that we can help find them homes. And if necessary, we'll put them in foster homes until we can find a permanent home for them.
This is our garage, where all of our maintenance equipment is. We also have extra pens set up in the event we need to use them to put dogs in because we get too full.
There's some days where I think, why do I do this? And I can't take it anymore. The euthanasia is very difficult because we do a lot of euthanasias on cats. They come in and they breed so frequently, and there's litters and litters of cats that come in. So it makes it difficult to find homes for them because people can get free cats anywhere. And it's hard to deal with some of the people that we deal with, the people who neglect their animals and don't take them to the vet when they're sick. That's hard too. I was called to a house where there was a neglected animal, and the woman who called said it was near death. And the owner of the dog wouldn't let me see it. She denied there was a dog in the house. And I threatened to get a warrant to go into the house if she didn't tell me what was going on. So while I was waiting for her, she was in the process of moving, and while I was waiting for her to return to the house she was moving from, somebody tried to sneak the dog out the back door. And I caught them doing that and stopped them and confiscated the dog. The dog had no hair on its body. It was emaciated. Its nails were overgrown. The poor thing was just in pitiful shape. And so we had to take it to the veterinarian. It needed to be treated for mange. It was emaciated. It needed to be brought back to health. And within a month, she was in pretty good shape, and someone showed an interest in her and adopted her. And they have 2 children, and they just sent me a picture of the dog with the 2 children. And she brought the dog in for a visit, and she looked wonderful. She had her hair back, and they found out she had some food allergies, and so she's on special food for that. But otherwise in great shape and very happy dog.
Years and years ago, there was a pointer named Parker who he was really hyper in his pen. He just paced back and forth, and we could never keep weight on him. I even went and bought him high-fat food, which the only thing that did to him was give him diarrhea. He was just so, I think, worked up being out in the kennels for so long with the other dogs. He was just constantly in motion, so we brought him back behind the counter and tied him up behind the counter, and he slept all the time, and he got nice and chunky, and then he finally did get adopted. But he's probably the one I remember the most.
My first main experience with animal cruelty, when I first started working here, I'd been here a couple months, and our humane officer walks up to me and goes, "Cabrina, I need you to take this cat down to the Loyalsock Animal Hospital and have it checked out." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." And he goes, "It has a head injury." And I said, "Okay." Didn't think anything of it. I got to the Loyalsock Animal Hospital, and we took it out of the carrier, and the cat had about a 50-cent size piece of its scalp missing. Somebody had scalped it. The person who did it was mentally handicapped, and I don't know that the person fully understood what they had done. But the cat ended up, being treated, surviving, and being adopted by one of their staff members. So that was a good success story for that cat, and a real eye-opener for me as to what people are capable of, and a real reminder as to why I do what I do and why I want to do what I do.
If the SPCA was not here, we'd probably be overrun with cats and dogs, for one thing. And I don't know what would happen to the animals if we weren't here. I'd be fearful that people would not be kind to them. So, and that's what we're here for. We're here to teach kindness to animals and to care for them. It made me realize that I can't take every dog and cat home. It does cost a lot of money for veterinary care, and so if you want to do a good job, you care for the ones that you're capable of caring for. And if you don't do that, you become a hoarder and don't take care of yourself or the animals. So I've seen a lot of hoarding situations where people want to save every single animal they find, and it soon becomes overwhelming. So my philosophy is it only takes one. You take one home, and it helps that one.
This job is definitely a labor of love. It's not something that any staff member here does for the money, because most of us are paid close to minimum wage. It's something that we do because it's the heart behind it. It's never easy. It's very emotionally hard, physically, and you put a lot into it. Your average span for an SPCA worker or Humane Society worker, period, is 2 years. Most don't last longer than that. We're fortunate enough that our staff here seem to work very well together, that I've been here 10 years. Our humane officer's been here close to 40. Our kennel manager's going on 14 years, and our director's going on 14 years. And we have a couple of part-time kennel attendants who've been here about 5 or 6 years, and one who's been here since starting as a volunteer at 14, then becoming a staff member at 18, and she became full-time last year, so she's been here probably almost 10 years too. This
is the first job I had where when my alarm goes off in the morning, I hop out of bed happily instead of moaning and groaning. It's like, I don't want to get out of bed. I actually very much enjoy it. It's almost like another home, and all my coworkers are like another family, so it's pretty awesome. We kind of all stick together and cry on each other's shoulders when we need to, and we do a lot of laughing together. We joke around a lot, but it's kind of something I think you have to do to keep you mentally sane. Laughing's healthy.
It's definitely something that, it's not an easy thing to do, but we do it because we love the animals, because we want to do our best to help them. And it's a big reality opener when you realize how many animals there actually are out there. We can get in 20, 30 cats and kittens in a day, and unfortunately don't have room to keep everybody. So that's why we're putting on the expansion of the cat ISO. So that way then we have the opportunity to better assess each individual cat to give it more opportunities to find a home. than what we were able to do in the past. And that's going to make a huge, huge difference for us and for the animals.